Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into the book Between Life and Death to get inside the head of a man who made the leap from one of medicine's most intense environments to one of Taiwan's most demanding political offices.
Okay, so the whole story really boils down to two very different battlefields, the intensive care unit and the mayor's office. As the book lays it all out, the principles for navigating life and death decisions in the ICU surprisingly became his blueprint for governing a city. So how in the world did the lessons from one shape the leadership style in the other?
So let's start at the beginning. As the book tells it, in his early days, Ku was this brilliant, super confident doctor, right at the forefront of medical tech. He saw medicine as a fight, and you better believe he was determined to win it.
He mastered some really cutting-edge technology like ECMO. That's a machine that literally does the work of your heart and lungs. And he had this amazing string of successes, pulling patients back from the very brink of death. It kind of got to his head. He truly saw himself as a victor in the battle against mortality, thinking science could basically conquer anything.
But, that kind of confidence, well, it was about to get completely shattered by the tough realities of the ICU. That's a place where even the best technology and the most skill aren't always going to be enough.
The book describes this one key moment, a real turning point. You've got a patient, he's stable, he's supposed to get better. And then, out of nowhere, in the middle of the night, a totally random, unpredictable event. The patient rips out critical tube in his sleep, and just like that, he's gone. It was just this brutal, brutal lesson. Even when you do everything right, chaos can still win.
Yeah, this event, and a few others just like it, forced him to completely rethink, everything. He had to accept that a doctor's power has a very clear and often very humbling limit.
And the ethical dilemmas, they were just constant. Take this one case, a baby they called Zhao Qiang. He's on life support, but his legs start to die. So what do? The choice was just agonizing. Amputate a baby's legs to save him or let nature take its course. In the end, the team chose to amputate. And you know what? Decades later, the book says he's still alive.
But then, you get an almost identical case. A young woman, just 31 years old, facing the exact same choice for her own limbs. She looked at her blackened hands, and she just couldn't do it. She chose not to live without them, and she passed away a few days later. These two stories, side by side, they just show you the immense weight of these decisions where there's often no single right answer, just a profoundly human one.
So out of this fire, this crucible of really tough choices, a whole new philosophy starts to take shape. He basically had to redefine what it even meant to be a doctor.
And this is where it came up with this idea of a doctor as a gardener. Think about it. A gardener can't stop the seasons from changing, right? They can't stop winter from coming. But what they can do is help the flowers bloom as beautifully as possible within their season. And for him, that's what a doctor should be. They can't stop death, but they can help people live better, more comfortably in the time they have. This led to this huge shift in focus. The enemy wasn't death anymore. The real enemy was suffering. And not just the patient's physical pain, but also that immense emotional weight carried by their family.
So what did he do? He actually started these formal family meetings. And the goal wasn't just to talk at them. It was to listen, to clearly explain the realities and the limits of medicine, and, this is so important, to help shield the family from feeling guilty. Communication itself became a core part of the treatment.
Okay, so fast forward. When he finally makes the jump into politics, he brings this entire mindset with him. This problem-solving, data-driven, but also deeply human-centric approach. He takes it straight from the hospital ward to City Hall.
And he basically tried to replace the old way of doing politics, the partisan squabbling, the backroom deals, with the clean logic of a doctor. For him, it wasn't about choosing a side, blue versus green. It was about figuring out right versus wrong. The goal was simple: diagnose the problem and, solve it.
His whole approach to governing got boiled down to this really simple code. It's almost like a protocol you'd follow in a hospital to make sure you get the best outcome.
It's simple. 1, do what's right. 2, don't do what's wrong. And 3, whatever you do, do it seriously. That's it. This really straightforward philosophy just drove this intense focus on actually getting things done and being held accountable for it.
And you can really see this philosophy in action. Look at the North Gate project. For decades, this ugly highway overpass was covering up a beautiful, historic gate in Taipei. No one could solve it. But his team used this system of super strict, transparent project management. And what happened? They tore the whole thing down in just 6 days. A decades-old problem, solved just like that.
So as the book breaks it down, his way of governing is really this blend of principles he learned back in the ICU. Decisions are driven by data, not ideology. Everything is out in the open, totally transparent to fight corruption. Problems are approached with pragmatism, and the whole thing is built on a foundation of strict financial discipline.
So what does this all mean? What does this journey from a hospital to City Hall really tell us? Can you actually take the lessons you learn in an operating room and use them to fix an entire city?
Well, the book doesn't really give us a final answer. Instead, it leaves us with his own self-reflection. He acknowledges the trade-off he made. Society lost a good doctor. But did it gain a good politician? He says, I don't know. All he promises is to keep working hard, and he leaves the final judgment to others.
And that kind of leaves a bigger question for all of us, doesn't it? What qualities, forged in the most extreme circumstances, where life and death hang in the balance, are the most valuable in any leader? Something to think about. Thanks for joining this explainer.